Welcome to my show. A guest here. Her name is Kanya Cassard. Mrs. Kanya, how are you doing, ma?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
And also, thank you so much for the time and the opportunity. Firstly, you are an author. You are also a sex therapist and an educator. Can you please, Mrs. Kanya, discuss more about yourself and how you're doing currently now, Mrs. Kanya?
Yeah. So I have been in the field of human sexuality since 2006. So quite a few decades of helping people understand more about their sexual arousal, their interests, their desires, and breaking shame around those topics. And I personally got into the field because I had been experiencing pain during intercourse, and it felt very unusual is to say it lightly, but there wasn't any information in the textbooks about how to navigate it. And so I became really dedicated to trying to figure out what was happening. And I merged my own personal experiences with my clinical training and experience in education and found a way to eventually becoming specialized in treating people with pelvic pain conditions. And then it evolved in helping people with arousal issues and then writing my book, Arousal Answered.
Very much beautiful. We can see how every single thing in life evolve. Despite the personal issues you do have in regards to some perspective, it's built to a position whereby one can use it as an impact to people out there as large. And that is why you have a book which you've written currently now, and also other things you've also built as well. And that is why I would like to drive to that book, Arousal Answered. Can you please, Mrs. Kanya, discuss more on the book? And do you also plan to write more books in the coming future, Mrs. Kanya?
Yeah. So arousal answered, as I mentioned, kind of started, the concept started when working with people who have had pelvic pain conditions. And then I saw that the things that I was doing with my clients that were helping them overcome their pain conditions and their fear around sex was also the same things that were helping my arousal clients. So the clients who were having low libido, orgasm issues, erectile issues, all of those conditions were also being helped and supported with the same things that I was doing with my pelvic pain clients. And I realized that there is an understanding around sex, desire, arousal that needs a better framework to be able to access it in a way that makes it easier and feel more authentic when people have had challenges with sex. And although I am trying to make all of my services really accessible to people, some people aren't able to engage in every week psychotherapy. And so I decided that I wanted to bring my book to people who could access it, make it a lot more accessible to get expert support and specialized information to be able to help them kind of go through the same process that I do with my clients. And so this book is almost like having a sex expert in your back pocket. It's me guiding people through a process in the same way that I would with a lot of my other clients. And it's been like people have been responding really well to it. And I'm really excited about it. And I do hope that I will be able to have future books. I had to cut out like 30,000 or 40,000 words from this original manuscript. So I think it is leading to a potential book in the future.
Very much beautiful. You said it all. The book serve as an intermediary to every single work you've done and also the experience you've had in regards to the clients you've had in earlier years. And this perspective as serving as an intermediary shows the same pattern for those who want to understand the sign of this, the sense of the sexual activities and also other areas as well that can help them thrive and also give them the sense of more understanding and how they can also try their best to deal with it in more perspective, in more right way or in the right way, as to say it, Mrs. Kanya. And also, that is why I would like to drive to the point of desire changes because desire changes really is something that people are always really worried about in regards to pleasure. So many people in the perspective believe that if their desire changes over time, something might be wrong with them. They feel like something is missing somewhere and they start to observe what is going on with me. So, why do you think it is very much important that changing desire is a normal part of human being, Mrs. Kanya?
Yeah, you're speaking exactly to one of the most harmful myths about sex is that the idea that desire should be stable and accessible forever. And in reality, desire changes the same way that energy or mood or even appetite changes across life. So things like stress, relationship dynamics, health, emotional safety, all of those things influence desire. And so when people assume that desire should be constant, they interpret normal changes as something's wrong with me. And that's one of the core reasons that I wrote Arousal Answered was to give people a framework to understand why desire changes, to normalize why desire changes, and how to navigate those shifts so that they stop fighting against their body and start figuring out how to actually work with it and give them a lot more grounded comfort that what they're experiencing is actually probably pretty normal.
Thank you so much because I would like you to dive to more in those personal perspective in regards to people who realize that desire changes over time. As you said earlier, there are several factors that causes this situations in one's health. And after regarding these several factors that actually cause the several issue when it comes to desire changes, it could be the kind of work we do or every single thing that we do in our life, also the kind of activities we do as well. That is why I would like to drive back to that perspective for those who struggle with low desire or arousal. What do you think are also some of the hidden factors, emotional, physiological, or relational, that really often influence this experience when it comes to struggle in low desire or arousal, Mrs. Kanya?
Yeah, so almost every single one of my clients who has struggled with desire have given some version of explaining that they have no sex drive or like a low sex drive, and they often just resign that that's just the way that it is. And for some people, that might be the case, but for most people, they don't realize that libido, that low libido, or just libido in general isn't an innate drive in our bodies like hunger or thirst, even though it's commonly talked about that way. Instead, our sexual arousal system is more of a reward system. So the more rewarding it is, the more we want to move toward it, the more we're interested in it, the more we're excited about it. The less rewarding or the more painful or unpleasant the experience of sex or anything related to sex is, the less we want it. And so it's kind of a combination, as you were mentioning, it's a combination of multiple systems interacting together. Some of those hidden factors might be chronic stress or nervous system overload. It can be an imbalance in relationship dynamics, causing resentment, which can start to shut down arousal. It might even be just feeling disconnected from one's body because of either trauma or, like I said, an overloaded nervous system. So basically, it's even though it's a bunch of complex systems working together, the general idea that I love to talk about with people and share in my book is that the nervous system doesn't, if the nervous system doesn't feel safe or supported or resourced, then desire is naturally going to shut down. And so the goal isn't to just assume that either I don't have a libido, or just I have to force it. The goal really is going to be about removing the barriers that prevent desire or libido from emerging naturally.
Mhm. That means it really goes back to we understanding ourselves and also giving ourselves a sense of reflection. Because it is when we give ourselves the sense of reflection, that is why we start to think, what is wrong in this area? What do I think I need to correct? Because you give a very big differentiation. When it comes to arousal, it depends on how we actually see ourselves. It depends on probably we feel a lot of pain or we feel a lot of pleasure in regards to the perspective. Those things really weigh very much in how we see it and how we want to come back to it. So it plays a very huge role. And for us to be in those perspectives, we have to know that there are other areas that we do know that we could struggle from these things. And we have to give ourselves a very brief reflection, understand ourselves, give the sense of where the error might be in, and try to see how we can also give the sense of correction in that perspective as well. And I also like to drive to the area where you emphasize cultivating a pleasure mindset rooted in curiosity and safety rather than performance. What do you think that shift really looks like in practice, Mrs. Kanya?
Yeah, this is a big one and something I deal with a lot. I remember one of my clients who was like steeped in the corporate world. I'll never forget when they said that they realized approaching sex was like a performance review from their manager. And many of my clients feel that way too. They're often asking themselves, am I doing it right? Is my partner satisfied? Do I look attractive enough? And that performance mindset activates anxiety, which is going to activate the nervous system and reduce resources. And that ultimately will shut down arousal, making it something we want to pull away from. But a pleasure mindset replaces that performance with curiosity and exploration. And so those questions might be a little bit, they're definitely less than the idea around did I succeed? Instead, the questions become more about what did I find interesting? What did I enjoy about this? What helped me feel more present? Because pleasure grows in a state of safety, resource, and curiosity, not pressure.
Thank you so much for the beautiful insights, Mrs. Kanya. Now we can see that there is a shift in the questions we need to ask ourselves when we are in the point of desire or when we're actually having a sexual relationship with someone. They are definitely necessary questions. We can ask questions, am I doing it well? But those questions are not really, probably will not really help in regards to us trying our best to resist and also maintain the arousal in our health and also in every single things that we do. So we have to ask ourselves, what do I actually enjoy in this perspective? What do I even love the most in this area? How can I also try my best to improve it? And from there, because it is always not easy, but from gradually and gradually both understand yourself and one understand what he or she really enjoys when it comes to arousal and also other desires as well. These are very important perspective that can really help us to understand this shape and also these areas better. And I sincerely appreciate you for that perspective and the insight as well. I would also like to drive to the place whereby your work frame or your framework really encourages people to question the stories they've been taught about sex and pleasures. Because what we've been taught really also plays a very huge role in every single things we do in regards to that perspective. What do you think are also some of the most common myths you hope readers will try to unlearn in regards to those things they've been taught, Mrs. Kanya?
Yeah, so some common myths that I have experienced, in addition to desire should be constant and effortless. Um, One of the ones I hear most often is that good sex should happen naturally without communication. And that's just not gonna fly. That's not how it works. And especially because most of us haven't been taught how to communicate effectively about sex. Either we're told not to talk about sex or we're given sex negative messages. And so just like anything in life, if we want it to go well, we need to be able to talk about it effectively. So I encourage people to always communicate about what their desires are, what they want and need, and to figure out ways to communicate about it. In my book, I provide a few examples to be able to help people have those difficult conversations, even when things can feel like really tough to talk about. And I think in order to help those conversations, having nervous system regulation is really helpful too. One of the other really important myths that I love busting is that there's one like normal level of desire, and really desire exists on a spectrum. And most people are used to desire being spontaneous. So there's spontaneous desire and then there's responsive desire. Spontaneous desire is where somebody can easily anticipate pleasure or excitement from a sexual situation. Responsive desire is where it's a response to a pleasurable experience in a sexual situation. And so that will take a little bit longer for people to start to experience a sense of desire in a sexual context that makes them feel good when when their nervous system is resourced. And so when people think that there's this one level of desire, that myth really harms the folks who have responsive desire. And both responsive and spontaneous desires are very normal ways of engaging with desire. Our society has just prioritized or stated that spontaneous desire is the normal way of having desire. So that's my favorite myth to bust.
Honestly speaking, you said it. It is always a difficult conversation. When it comes to areas of sexual desire and also giving a sense of conversation in regards to that perspective, it is always not easy, but we have to try our best so that we can be in the position to understand ourselves better, to understand the perspective, and also how one can also know the right thing to do and also what he or she not need to do at the right moment. Those areas really play a very huge role. We do know that the rise of technology and also the kind of things we see out there really change a lot of perspective and also the way we see sex. But conversation plays a very important role in every single thing we do to build it and also become more better as well. So that every single thing that we do we actually bring out the profound result that will also help the relationship last more longer. And how do you think, from the perspective and also the experience you've had, Mrs. Kanya, how do you think individuals can try to create emotional safety within themselves and also within a partner so that those desires and pleasure will have space to grow naturally, Mrs. Kanya?
Yeah, desire grows best in environments where people feel emotionally and physically safe. That's not rocket science, but we often don't really know what that actually means for us internally. And so sometimes when there are these subtle relationship imbalances, maybe like one person is feeling a little annoyed because the other partner constantly says that they're going to do something, but they never do it. But otherwise, they're a really great partner. But when maybe that partner can't feel like they can rely on the person to pick up their slack in the chores, for instance, that can be a really subtle way that starts to reflect to the nervous system that they're not feeling respected enough. And so, one of like, obviously, in a large context, if somebody's not feeling respected, that's definitely going to impact desire. But it can also be in these really small, subtle ways. And so, it's really helpful for people to know that it's important to be able to express their needs, whether that's sexually or in a relationship. And expressing needs is not, it's often given like a bad rap because people say, like, oh, you demand too much or you're too needy. But really, being able to express needs is a very healthy and very sexy thing to be able to do because it shows that somebody knows what they are needing and being able to communicate that well. And of course, being able to communicate it well is a really important factor. A demand is different than a request, and it can feel different within the partnership if it becomes more of a request or like a collaboration. And being able to also have a space or safety within the relationship and within themselves where they're not feeling criticized or judged or rejected. And again, those can exist in really subtle ways within oneself or within a relationship. And so I think that helping people understand how to create the internal safety as well as the emotional and relational safety so that they can be more embodied and more present within themselves and within the partnership without evaluating, then desire has the space to then emerge. And their resources are going to be more available to the nervous system. And that's where pleasure can grow so much more easily.
I sincerely appreciate that insight. It shows that when we have the sense of request, when we give the sense of conversation, this sense of I would say a sense of demand in regards to pleasure and also a sense of arousal as well. We have to try our best to build those perspectives so that we can create the sense of emotional safety. Because if we do not put ourselves in this perspective and also build ourselves at large, in regards to demanding or also creating a sense of conversation and also knowing how to also put it down in regards to the perspective to make it a sense of dialogue, it will not be in a position whereby it will grow. So we want to be in a position whereby we want something that could last more longer, feels more natural, and also stay in a position whereby it lasts to the end point, that is to the end of our time on earth. And also I want to sincerely appreciate you for this beautiful conversation in regards to this insight when it comes to pleasure, when it comes to desire, and when it comes to arousal, because these are the little things we need to understand when it comes to relationship and also a partner as well, and how we can also make a lot of things better so that we can have a relationship that lasts more longer and also lasts to the end of time as well. Mrs. Kanya, also there is a question I normally ask during the end of the show. From our forefathers, from our ancestors, there are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mrs. Kanya, what do you think that thing will be, ma?
I think connecting to, so the message and the intention of connecting to the natural experience of life, whether that means nature, being reminding ourselves to be connected to nature. That technology, it advanced so quickly and it pulls us away so much from connection with others and to ourselves, that I think that the reminder of where we've really come from and what our ancestors experienced, where it's a little bit more of a simple life, a little bit more of connection to cultural histories and ancestral experiences, that those things really helped us feel grounded, helped our nervous system stay more calm, and that can help us cultivate and grow with our partners, with friends, with family, but then also with ourselves. And that will create a resourced nervous system. And so I often try to bring that into my life in regular ways by being out in nature as much as I can to help my nervous system feel supported. I love that question. Thank you.
All right, because one of the most important thing you said is our nervous system plays a very huge role because it carries a lot of emotions for us. The nervous system is very powerful. And the way our nervous system can feel energized is when we create physical connection, physical communication with people we have around us, creating the sense of dialogue one on one. We do know that technology came out very much fast, and also we're in a fast-paced world. But when we create a sense of physical connection, giving the sense of communication with community, with people we find around us, most especially with our partners also as well, having this physical communication and also giving the sense of development, which we have missed really much in our time today, is something that can really help the nervous system and also help our body and also our health, our emotions to become energized as at large, because every single thing that we do in life, it plays a very huge role, and also our emotions as well. And Mrs. Kanya, I also want to use this opportunity to thank you for the time, the opportunity on discussing in regards to the perspective or desire of sex, in regards to our partners, in regards to people who find around us, for us to understand better and also create the sense. And also your lovely book as well, Arosa Answer. It gives us the answer. It serves as an intermediary in regards to every single thing we want to understand when it comes to desire, when it comes to sex, when it comes to us understanding how we can also deal with it with more wisdom from the experience you've had. Thank you so much, Mrs. Kanya.
Thank you so much. This was such a lovely and insightful conversation. I really, really appreciated your time and yeah, all of your really amazing questions. It was just very wonderful to be here.
All right. Have a wonderful day, Mrs. Kanya. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.